What's going on, 49er Faith, 49er Fan, 49er Gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notification to keep you up to date on anything and everything San Francisco 49ers along with the NFL. With that being said, man, let's get right on into it. You already know what it is. We got to have that recap of Week 15. So let's start by sharing the screen and seeing what happened in Week 15 of the NFL. So we're going to start off here really quick with the Falcons and the Bucks. This was definitely a nice little barn burner because you see that 29-28 score. Falcons pull off to win, trying to inch themselves a little bit closer to that NFC South crown, which is, kind of not outside the realm of possibility, but pretty much too far away. I think honestly the NFC South is going to be decided between the Bucks and the Panthers. But divisional games, as I always state, are very tough, and you see exactly why. So the Falcons didn't score in the first or in the third quarter, but they did all their scoring in the second and in the fourth, and that's where it matters. When you take a look at it, Tampa Bay scored in every single quarter. They just had 1 point less. I'm going to skip down to the bottom, see if there was a field goal issue. There was not. Zane Gonzalez was 100%. So he did what he had to do. So was Chase McLaughlin. They both were 100%. Doing their kicking duty. So it wasn't on the kicker. It was just that's the way the game turned out. Looks like the Falcons had several fumbles. So you have you had 3 total fumbles. Only one was lost, so that's a good thing. And then the Tampa Bay Bucks, they had fumbles as well, but it was just one from Cameron Johnson, and he recovered that. Then you've got taking a look at the passing, 30 of 44, 373 yards, 3 TDs from Kirk Cousins. That's fairly Kirk Cousins-esque. You know what I'm saying? He's usually pretty good with his yardage and whatnot. But, like I said, don't ever think Cousins is going to win the Super Bowl, pads his stats, and continues to get paid. Still don't know how he got all the contracts he got when he's never won a playoff game. So it is what it is. Baker Mayfield, 1934, 277 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times. That tells me a good amount of what I need to know. Looks like Atlanta's defense got after Baker Mayfield in a major way. Rushing game was not necessarily there. He did have a total of 88 yards from the Bucks. That was between Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. And then Bijan Robinson, 19 carries, 93 yards, 1 TD. Kyle Pitts went off. He destroyed me in fantasy. Thank you so much, Kyle. You basically ruined my hopes. Single-handedly, 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 TDs. And then Chris Godwin Jr. for the Bucks with one of the TD passes, along with one from Devin, one TD reception from Devin Culp. And then you have Mike Evans. 6 catches, 132 yards. So that's definitely a beautiful thing for them. We already talked about the situation as far as the fumbles and whatnot. But then you got me take a look at the sacks. You had 2 sacks from James Pierce Jr. You had half a sack from Divine Diablo, another one from Brandon Duralis. LaCale London had 1, and the other half a sack came from Jason Walker. The only sack produced for the Bucs was Hassan Reddick. And then, of course, you come down, you take a look at it. Dee Alford had an interception as well. So when you're looking at everything just as a standpoint, man, it just was a fantastic game. Looks like the Falcons' defense was a little bit better than it let on. Even giving up the 28 points, having 5 sacks, and, doing what they did was a good thing for them. They found a way to win. Kirk Cousins and Kyle Pitts seemed to have a fantastic connection. So, hey, there you go. All 3 of his touchdown passes went to him. The man had almost 200 yards receiving. So that definitely bodes well for them. But shout out to the Atlanta Falcons for getting that dub, man. Definitely an easy one. Now, this one here, oof, Lord. You'll catch me doing a short about this one, man. But this was a beatdown of epic proportions. 28-point beatdown, 31-3. The Bears beat on the Browns, man. They just destroyed them. That Browns defense gave up 31 points. The Browns offense, unfortunately, with Shedeur Sanders, couldn't put up much. The man was 18-35, 177 yards, no TDs, and 3 interceptions, along with 5 sacks taken. So Here's the biggest problem here, and this is something that I didn't know when I saw the score until now, looking at the box score, looking at the passing numbers. Why on earth is Shedeur Sanders throwing the ball 35 times when you have Quinshon Judkins? The best friend to a rookie quarterback is going to be the running back. Quinshon Judkins is no slouch. Quinshon Judkins actually is a fairly good running back. But you've got to scheme it up better. And that's on Kevin Stefanski. That's on the guy calling the plays. I would never have Shedeur Sanders throwing the ball 35 times in a game at all. Maybe 20 to 25, but I would try to balance it out a lot more and probably just go a little heavier on the run just to be able to wear defenses down. Now, don't get me wrong. You guys can see the numbers. He only had 1.8 yards to carry, and that definitely is not going to cut it. Shedeur had 2 for 24. And technically, yeah, he still had a really high average rushing because one of those runs was 15. So if you take that away, basically he had 9 yards on the other run too. So that's not a negative. But at the end of the day, if I am Kevin Stefanski, I am trying to make sure that I'm a little more run heavy rather than pass heavy, especially against the Bears defense. I know they had a knock on them for certain things, but at the end of the day, Shedeur is still a rookie. So you want to be able to bring your rookie along in the right way. You don't want to overload them with things. And then, when stuff doesn't go right, you get to heap the blame on them and not take any of the blame yourself. I'm sorry, at the end of the day, though Shedeur is perfectly media trained. He knows exactly all the right things to say. He understands exactly how to respond. You just don't do this to a rookie quarterback. I wouldn't have had to throw 35 times and only ran the ball, technically running the ball about 14 times. That to me is just bad. Like that's not a good game plan. And then you flip to the other side of the ball, and what do you have? The Bears even theirs out a little bit more. Caleb Williams, 17 to 28, 242 yards, 2 TDs. He was sacked 3 times. But then you come and you look at the rushing, 33 runs. So 33, 28, not too far apart. 35, 16. You see what I'm saying? So DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 98 yards, 5.4 yards a carry. The Cleveland run defense did not look good. 2 TDs from DeAndre Swift. And the Bears seem to mix it up. It can either be Swift or it can be Monangai. It just depends on the game and who's got the hot hand. And what that kind of reminds me of is the early days of Kyle Shanahan with the Niners, where he had a 2-back system, where if one guy was hot, that's who got to rock that game. And if another guy was hot, that's who got to rock that game. Whether it be Tevin Coleman, whether it be Matt Breida, whether it be Raheem Mostert, I'm saying the variety of backs that have been here. Kyle Shanahan and Bobby Turner are fantastic when it comes to running backs. They find ways to make those running backs into stars, typically with you undrafted free agents, outside of obviously CMC because he is just that good. But those are just some of the things that happen. Hey, what's going on, Matt Moses? Ain't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. What's going on, Jet? Hey, man, look, I'm going to say this, man. I am not that dude. I'm not going to be happy that Mahomes got hurt. I'm just happy the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. That's the whole point for me. You know what I'm saying? Salute to you too, brother. But that's the whole point for me, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what anybody says as long as the Chiefs ain't in the playoffs. This is the opportunity. Now, here's the sad part about this, just to take a sidebar from that comment. If there's one person stands in your way every single year, and that person is now not in your way, you want to be in the playoffs, i.e. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those are the two big guys that always stand in that Mahomes has been standing in their way for years. He is no longer in your way. Now, here's the thing. Lamar is on the outside looking in. He may or may not make the playoffs. And then when it comes down to Josh Allen, hey, he's still rolling. This could be Josh Allen's moment to take the AFC by storm, say, hey, I'm doing it. I've got it. This is now my time. I'm headed to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to bring the Bills a championship. I'm not going to pull another Mark Levy, Jim Kelly and all those guys and wind up losing another Super Bowl. I got to bring one home for Buffalo. And to be honest with you, I mean, the game is in Santa Clara. It will be in February. It's going to be great weather out there. So you don't have to worry about all of the issues that you would technically speaking, you know what I'm saying, being a Buffalo Bill, because in Buffalo, that time's probably still snowing, it's cold as all get out. Nobody wants to play the Snow Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a couple of years ago, we had to play the Snow Bowl in the playoffs when we had to play the Packers. So it definitely is not the easiest thing. And the heck, they call the Packer Stadium the frozen tundra for a reason. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a situation when that's the case. I didn't know these dudes were laughing when they got hurt. If they're laughing, hey, we're laughing even harder because we're still in the playoff hunt while you're eliminated and you're out. And I know everybody made a big stink about Mahomes. Is they gave a timeline. The guy, I guess they said he already had surgery, which to me is flat out amazing. I don't know how you have surgery the next damn day. Like that is just, I don't know. I mean, I know when you got money, you can make things happen, but I didn't know you can make surgery happen that quick. You know what I'm saying? So they're saying that his timeline is technically 9 months. Let me explain something to you. The man tore his ACL, and I believe he tore something else in his leg. They're saying that both of those together combined can still be 8 months. I will say this. I don't expect to see Patrick Mahomes until midseason next year. And by then, the hope to the Chiefs doing anything is going to be over because they don't have a quarterback behind him that is going to be as good and or as viable as he is, to the team. So honestly, I don't think that you see him back as quick as they think, because that basically puts him right up against the start of the season. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't expect to see him until probably at the earliest November, December of next year, right around the same time, just because you don't know how that's going to work. And if you try to rush him back and it only, sets him back even more, you want to be smart about this. I know Kansas City loves being in the playoffs and they're always happy because they're always there and going to the AFC Championship game and all that crap. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a 2-year thing where they don't make the playoffs. I don't believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to come back perfectly right and just fall right back in and everything's just going to go right back to Kansas City being on top of the AFC West and on top of the AFC. I don't think it's working like that. I honestly believe that this was a run that they had. It was a great run. I mean, you had your division championships, constant AFC championship games. I believe the man won, 3 Super Bowls. So, hey, you've gotten your run. You've done what you needed to do. It's time to take a step back. Did it to all the greats. I mean, hell, Tom Brady had to take a step back in 1.2. They wasn't going to let him just keep winning forever. So it is what it is. There was another superstition or conspiracy theory about after Brady tearing his ACL, I guess he won 3 more Super Bowls. So they're all like, yeah, well, now, that could be Patrick too. It's whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't have to deal with it. This is the opportunity for the league to take advantage of some things and say, you know what? Nobody's afraid of the Chiefs anymore. You saw the Eagles beat them this year in the Super Bowl, and you see next year they won't even be a problem in the playoffs. So continue to keep that narrative going, continue to keep beating on them and beating them down, and that's the case. And if they laughed when, our players got hurt, well, look who's laughing now. Ain't no Mahomes and Kyle Shanahan's way, and this should be opening the door for him to get the job finished if we can make it to the Super Bowl. That's a big if too. But back to this game, once again, low rushing numbers for Cleveland. You got 50 yards. And then you look at the rushing numbers for the Bears, 142. Flat out insane. Isaiah Bond, 2 catches, 89 yards. Good Lord. And look at this, man. This is the thing here. Like 47 yards. You weren't getting stuff like that with Dylan Gabriel. You just weren't. He was not pushing the ball down the field. He was taking the check down, throwing a little comeback routes, short stuff. But Shedeur Sanders has a big arm, and he will push the ball down the field. You take a look at it. DJ Moore caught both touchdown passes from Caleb Williams. Williams had a fumble, but he recovered it. Then you take a look at the defense here. Myles Garrett has his 1.5 sacks. That pushes him closer. I believe that puts him at 21.5, if I'm not mistaken. Alex Wright had a sack, and the other half sack from Myles Garrett goes with Shelby Harris. So they had 3 in total. And then the Bears, you had 1 from DeMarco Jackson, 2 from Austin Booker, 1 from Grady Jarrett. That's where Grady Jarrett is. Okay, he's a Bear now. And then Gervon Dexter Sr., he had 1 sack. So, I mean, hey, 5 sacks, 8 TFL, 6 PDs, and 3 interceptions. I don't know what else you want to ask for, man. I really don't. You've got everything that you needed. Cairo Santos got to be a little bit better on your kicking, though. He did miss one of those field goals. I mean, it just would have made it, worse of a beatdown. But either way, what I'm saying, you always want to make sure your kickers are doing 100% of the work. Andre Schmites, he did what he could with what he was given. That's all you can really say. And Bojorquez was busy all night, 7 punts. That's a lot in one game. So it definitely just tells you that the Bears came. They showed up, they showed out. Cleveland came calling, and the Bears answered the call, man. That'll definitely be one that I'll give you guys a nice little short on as far as a beatdown. Another beatdown coming your way. The Bengals to the Ravens. The Ravens to the Bengals. They went into Cincinnati and just destroyed Who Dey Nation. Just beat them like they stole something. You got 24-0. Bengals couldn't score at all. Joe Burrow, 25-39, 225 yards. He threw 2 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. And there's a lot to talk about here. So for the moment, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to say this, man. And yeah, hey, look, 2019, my heart was broken, but I was more pissed off at Kyle because he had the nerve to get up on national television and tell everybody he got comfortable against Patrick Mahomes, which is one of the stupidest things you could say as a head coach. But that's neither here nor there. I digress. Joe Burrow is starting to really sound a lot like Andrew Luck. And, I know the name Carson Palmer was brought up as well. Cincinnati is a place that you don't know what you're going to get. He has a bunch of offensive weapons, but he has no offensive line. He has a bunch of offensive weapons, but his defense is trash. Like, it puts a damper on your spirit. When you're out there and you're trying to do something, you're trying to be great, but the things around you just don't work. And the people in the building that are supposed to make those things around you work don't want them to and don't care for them. We know that Cincinnati's had a bad defense for years. They've never addressed it. We know that Joe Burrow had to fight just to get T. Higgins and Jamar Chase paid. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that kind of locks up a lot of the money. But at the end of the day, if you've got a good GM and a good person that's working your cap, you find ways to be able to make that stuff work. You don't allow yourself to be in a situation where you're just stuck like Chuck and you don't have any outs. You've got to find a way to make that defense better. You've got to find a way to improve that offensive line. Like you must, because other than that, you're going to have one of the best quarterbacks of this generation quit. And you don't want that. You don't want to be Indianapolis, where you guys suck so bad that you made your quarterback quit. And that's what they're headed toward. Now, mind you, I ain't going to lie to you. If they called us and said straight up, hey, look, man, we'll, give us Brock and a first, you know what I'm saying? I'm not opposed to that. I'll give you Brock in the first. Hell, I'll give you Brock, Mac, and the first. If you're going to give me Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. There's nothing against Purdy, but he's not Joe Burrow. I can guarantee you that. And if I bring Joe Burrow to the Bay, Super Bowl, here we come. At least in my eyes. The guy has every tool you can think of. He does all of the things that you want. I mean, I honestly think he would be fantastic in the San Francisco offense. But that's a stretch, you know what I'm saying, for us and for anybody, because I know that the asking price for Joe Burrow would be tremendous. And I also know that the Bengals ain't selling. They don't want to get rid of Joe Burrow because they know they're going to have to go back to mediocrity if they do, even though they're currently sitting in mediocrity at 4-10 and already been out of the playoffs with no hope to make it in. So Lamar Jackson, what the heck? Okay, I thought I was tripping, but I'm not. Lamar Jackson, 8 of 12, 150 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. What? There must be more that happened in this game. Because the Ravens didn't score in the first, but they did score in the second, third, and the fourth quarters. Not ridiculous numbers, 24-0, but it's still a beatdown because the Bengals didn't score at all. So Joe Burrow, 25-39, 225 yards, no TDs, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 100 yards. And then you come and you take a look at it. Chase Brown, 13 carries, 53 yards. Samaje Perine, 14 carries, 42 yards. You look at the receiving, Zay Flowers, 3 catches, 68 yards in the tutty. Rasheen Ali, 2 catches, 32 yards in the tutty. Then you come over to the Bengals, of course. Jamar Chase, he went off again, but he didn't score. 10 catches, 132 yards. Everybody else after that, extremely pedestrian. Lamar Jackson had a fumble, but he recovered it. Samaje Perine had a fumble, but they lost it. It was recovered by Dylan Fairchild, so they lucked out. And come and take a look at the defense. Now, I want you to take a look at something that's startling, because look at the length of tackles and people in on something, as far as the list on the people. And then look at the Bengals. It's like half of it. Why? That tells you there's a problem with this defense, man. The 2 sacks came from Demetrius Knight and Miles Murphy. Both of them had 2 apiece. But then the rest of it is all just pedestrian. You had 5 TFLs, but 4 out of 5 of those were sacks. And then you come and you take a look at the Baltimore Ravens. Roquan Smith with 14 tackles, Trenton Sampson with 9. Then you have 3 other dudes with 8, and the Bengals only had 2 people that had more than 6. Like that, I'm just saying the numbers speak volumes. Travis Jones had a sack. Mike Green had a sack. Tavius Robinson had a sack. And then you come, they had 5 passes defense. Of course, you had Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Van Noy with the interceptions. And then Alohi Gilman scored a touchdown as well. Jordan Battle had an interception for the Bengals, but obviously that didn't do much of anything because they didn't turn it into any points in any way. No kicking from Cincinnati. You can't really do anything with that. Tyler Luke was fine. He was 100%. But this just shows you that it's a situation where you're in a bad spot because you want your quarterback to play. You want your quarterback to win. You want your quarterback to have fun playing football. But if you don't have the right pieces around him and he's starting to see, I'm not going anywhere with this team, it starts to suck. And now, mind you, there have been many players for many years in the NFL, watch tons and tons of football, that get upset about not winning. But what they'll do is the team will throw a bag at them and they'll stay, i.e. Myles Garrett. He wanted out of Cleveland. He was tired of losing, yet he's still there. Why? They threw a bag at him. A lot of people will give different reasons and give different explanations of why people stay. And, well, what about this? And look at this outcome, this, that, and the third. At the end of the day, if you really want to win, if your eye is on winning and being great and being recognized as one of the best players in the NFL and being able to make it into the Hall of Fame, if those types of things are your goals and that's a part of your go-to, then what you would want to do is go somewhere where you know you're going to win. And I'm sorry, the Cleveland Browns isn't an organization where I think I'm going to win, so I wouldn't want to stay there, nor would I want to resign. The Cincinnati Bengals have been abysmal for years. I think the last Super Bowl they were in, the 49ers beat the brakes off of them. So that tells you everything you need to know there. When you come and you take a look at it, man, it's just certain things that happen, and you just don't want to waste your time. And yeah, Ohio, the Buckeyes are literally the pride of Ohio. They are. It's not the Bengals. It ain't the Cleveland Indians. It's not the Cleveland Browns. Hell, it's not any other team that y'all have. It is the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are literally the pride of Ohio. And I'm pretty sure they they have a massive market that they cater to. And I'm sure that they bring in tons of money for the state, for the city, everything, man. Like it's different. So it's just frustrating as a quarterback for Joe Burrow to just sit there and just kind of have to deal with this stuff and be, and want to win, have that drive, that will, what I'm saying, have made it to a Super Bowl and only wound up taking the L by a small margin. It's definitely very frustrating when it comes down to it, because, hey, he went there, and he went there early. I believe that was like his second or third season when Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. So it wasn't like he was, that things weren't right. It's just, hey, injuries start to come around. Team doesn't get better around you. You just start seeing things falling apart. It gets frustrating. Being real, Ohio State is always playing smash mouth football. College plays for real. The NFL, where there's a lot to be desired on that front. These are all facts, people. Out there laying the facts to you. There's nothing else we can do about that one. So Chargers versus the Chiefs. This was definitely a division game. Obviously, as you can see, 16-3. You know what I'm saying? Chiefs scored in the first half, didn't score in the second half. Patrick Mahomes obviously winds up being injured, tearing his ACL, and I believe there was another ligament he tore. They are stating once again that the recovery is 9 months. I don't expect Patrick Mahomes to be back that damn fast. Nobody heals like that. I mean, it was, once again, I'm still baffled at the fact that the man's already had surgery. That's just flat out insane. I would have thought you could have scheduled it, but I didn't think you could just do it immediately. But either way, 9 months recovery is what they're stating. I don't expect to see Patrick Mahomes until about mid-November, early December of next year. I don't anticipate him being back that quickly. I'm sorry. I don't anticipate the Chiefs being in the playoffs next year either. I believe this is a little 2-year run, and Pat's going to have to kind of work his way back and try to figure out some things. But, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the number one thing about the Chiefs is, that Patrick Mahomes ain't really going nowhere, but it is what it is. So Mahomes, 16-28, 189 yards, only one interception. He was sacked 5 times. That Chargers defense got after him. Justin Herbert was sacked 4 times, so it shows the Chiefs defense was doing their thing. Herbert, 210 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Omarion Hampton, 15 carries, 61 yards. Kamani Vidal, 12 for 33. And then you see the rushing from Kansas City was nowhere to be found. And so was the receiving. Once again, as soon as Patrick Mahomes went down, there wasn't much of anything. Gardner Minshew came in 3 of 5 for 22 yards, and he threw an interception. So 2 interceptions thrown by both one interception thrown by both quarterbacks for Kansas City. That just doesn't bode well. It doesn't leave anything good for you. Keenan Allen fumbled, but it was recovered by Omarion Hampton. Then you take a look at the receiving touchdown, and that went to Keandre Lambert-Smith. Then you take a look at defensively. 2 sacks from Odafe Owe, and then Tuipulotu. I have to say that name slow because it's hard to say it fast. And then the other sack was Khalil Mack, the Mack Daddy. He was there. And then, of course, for the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Leo Chenal, Ashton Goodlot, Jaden Hicks, and Charles Omenihu, all with the sacks. And then, of course, you have Jalen Watson with his own. So those are just things that happened. Ashton Goodlot had the interception for the Chiefs. 2 interceptions from the Chargers came from Derwin James and Deion Henley. Then you take a look at the kicking. Both kickers were 100%. But at the end of the day, the beauty of this game for me, period, point blank, is the fact that the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs. I don't have to worry about hearing anything about Mahomes in the playoffs and them doing anything. And this shut their season down pretty much. Gardner Minshew is obviously going to be their starter for the rest of the season. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's it. There's nothing they can do. And I'm very happy that the Chiefs are not in the playoffs. I don't have to deal with Andy Reid. I don't have to deal with Spags, and I don't have to deal with Mahomes. Makes my life that much easier. Even though I wouldn't see them until the Super Bowl, if that was the case, Kyle just continually fails when it comes to the Chiefs. He just cannot beat them. Regular season, Super Bowl, playoffs, whatever. It does not work out. He cannot beat Spags. And I'm glad they're out of the way. If we wind up, making some kind of a crazy run to be able to play the Super Bowl in our home stadium, that would be beautiful. But at the end of the day, man, it's just the fact is you have to make sure that at any point when you're playing in the playoffs or you're going for a Super Bowl run, you don't want to have people in front of you that constantly kick your ass. It just doesn't work out well. So it is what it is. What he said, what if God wins the Super Bowl with an aging Hall of Fame quarterback, just like his dad did with John Elway? I mean, it would, it would be nice. Now, this right here is the only thing I disagree with. Kyle is too good of a coach to not win the Super Bowl. If that's the case, then why he ain't won one? He's been to 2 as a head coach, 1 as a coordinator, and he ain't won any of those. So I wouldn't say he's too good of a coach to not win a Super Bowl. I just don't want that stain on his record. I really, truthfully, I know a lot of people see me and they see how I talk about Kyle, but I don't want that for him. I don't want him to be that guy who was a great offensive mind, but he could never get the job done as a head coach. That would suck for him. That's a horrible legacy to leave behind, because contrary to popular belief, what they do look at when you are a head coach is, did you win a Super Bowl? That is one of the prerequisites that they have for you when they want to induct you into the Hall of Fame. That's what will set you back. That's what will push your time further and further back when you don't have that ring, especially when you have L's in the Super Bowl. If you never got there, it's a little bit different. They could just say, all right, hey, man, just couldn't get over the hump. It's a little bit different. But if you get there and you take L's, that's just not good at all. So you got to just be mindful of that. I wouldn't say he's too good of a head coach to not win the Super Bowl. I would say he needs to actually finish the job. That's the key. Stop worrying about whether he's too good or not. He needs to just get the job done. If he gets there, he can't take another L. If Kyle loses another Super Bowl, I need him out of Santa Clara the day after he takes that L. Get out of here. I'm done. I'm tired of it. Because what people don't understand is the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different result. And I'm sorry, if Kyle has repeated going to the Super Bowl and he goes there 3 times and he loses 3 times, that is literally the definition of insanity. He's been there 3 times. It has not worked. I am sorry. I'll treat this like baseball. 3 strikes, you're out. Kyle is on his last strike with me. If he loses another Super Bowl and you 49er fans decide to jump on his you-know-what and continue to support him, I'm going to look at y'all like y'all ain't got no damn sense and wonder why the hell I have a fan base that can't see the forest through the trees. It's very simple. I'm sorry. If you cannot get the job done and you consistently lose, it's got to be you at some point. You got to take responsibility. You know what I'm saying? That's like a girl dating a dude, dating dudes that always cheat on her consistently. These are the types of men you pick. And you know that this is what they do. You've seen their track record. They tell you this is their history. Yet you still go after those same guys. Why would you do that? Nobody wants that. So you just got to be smarter about it. He's got to get the job done. So at the end of the day, for me, Kyle needs to get the job done. And when he gets the job done, he can be able to chill. But I can't give him anything about great or good until I see the finished product. As I look at things in a broad spectrum, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's luckily gotten back over 500 as a head coach. But, before that, when he came into the season, he was literally the worst head coach that the 49ers have ever had. And that's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? You're the worst 49ers head coach at the time, at the beginning of the season. You had lost 2 Super Bowls. Nothing about that is stating, greatness. That's actually bad. You know what I'm saying? But as always, people like to cherry pick. They will consistently go ahead and give you the few good seasons that he had and the Super Bowl runs that we went on, but they didn't end with rings. They didn't end with victory. It was just a run. And though they're nice, you want those runs to actually turn into actual victories. You can't just continue to run with things and then you look and you go, oh, well, maybe next year. I'm tired of that next year, next man up. I need it now. So Buffalo Bills beat the New England Patriots. This is funny because the Patriots beat the Bills in the Bills' house, and the Bills beat the Patriots in the Patriots' house. Bills and Patriots both didn't score. Bills didn't score in the first quarter. Patriots didn't score in the third. But either way, came down to, only a 4-point game. Division games are very, very tough. The Bills are trying to stay alive, possibly could flip and take the number 1 seed from the New England Patriots if the Patriots take an L, and then they come along and they turn around and they the Bills get a win. So there you go. There you have it. But the passing yards, neither quarterback went over 200 yards passing. But Josh Allen was fantastic. 19 to 28, 193 yards, 3 TDs, only took 2 sacks. Drake May, 14 of 23, 155 yards, 1 interception, 3 sacks. That tells you everything you need to know. So it looks like the rushing game did everything, and it did. Drake May had 2 rushing touchdowns. Trevion Henderson had 2 rushing touchdowns. You take a look at it for James Cook. He wound up with 22 carries, 107 yards, 2 TDs. So rushing game was there for them. Trevion Henderson had his 148. That was definitely a beautiful thing. And then you take a look once again, no TDs for passing. And this was very interesting. So I don't know what Mack Hollins does or who he is. I don't know much about him, but I do know they showed him on Get Up this morning walking into the stadium for the New England Patriots with no shoes and no shirt, and I think some like tights on, like some legging looking like tights. It's cold as all get out in New England right now, people. It's freezing. And he out here with no damn shoes and no shirt. I mean, that's some young boy stuff right there. If I ain't never seen it in my life, ain't no way you gonna get me out in that kind of weather with no shoes and no shirt on. But then you take a look at the receiving for them. Like I said, pedestrian numbers. Same here. Only difference is Dawson Knox caught 2 TDs and James Cook caught another. So James Cook was cooking. You take a look at the interceptions. Mac Hollins had a fumble, but it was recovered by Marcus Jones. And then you take a look at it, Matt Milano, 10 tackles, 2 sacks. Then you got another sack from Greg Rousseau. You take a look at the Patriots. Jack Gibbons had a sack. Harold Landry the third had a sack. A couple passes defense for them. Same thing for the Patriots. For the kicking, Matt Prater didn't have to do anything but kick field goals because they were just scoring touchdowns. Andy Borregales, he was 100% on his kicks and everything. They just didn't, you just didn't finish everything up, man. That's all it was. So definitely understand exactly what's going on here, but that bodes well for the Buffalo Bills because they want to be able to try to get, flip that and get the division because that's the only way that they're going to, get in outside of, continually holding their position as far as playoffs are concerned. Then we have the No One Cares Bowl with the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants, 29-21. Once again, Ellison, I told you y'all was going to win, and you said no. But there you go. Y'all won. So Giants scored in every quarter except for the first. Commanders scored in every quarter except for the third. And the Commanders have shut down Jaden Daniels for the rest of the season. There is no point to actually bring him back and play him when we don't have any shot at the playoffs once yet. So I get that. That's why you're going to see Marcus Mariota for the rest of the year. Scary Terry McLaurin had 1 TD. Right behind him, Debo Samuel had 3 catches, 43 yards. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had 18 carries, 96 yards in the touchdown. Marcus Mariota, 10-19, 211 yards, very pedestrian numbers. Jackson Dart, 20-36, 246 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He was only sacked once. Tyrell Tracy, 15 carries, 70 yards in the TD. So it's definitely, a good thing. Wan'Dale Robinson had the only touch. Wan'Dale Robinson and Tyrone Tracy Jr. had the touchdown passes from Jackson Dart. And then you had Terry McLaurin with 1 TD receiving. And there's a lot of fumbles, man. 4 fumbles by Washington. So definitely looking at that. The lone sack came from Von Miller for Washington. And then when you look at the Giants, Dan Belton and Abdul Carter both had a sack. Mike Sandstro had that interception for the Commanders. And then you look at the kicking, Jake Moody missing another extra point, man. Like, this is why I tell people, bro, like, you can't count on dude. He missed that extra point. It don't make a difference because it only brings it up to a 9-point win. But at the end of the day, that extra point could cost you at some point, man. This is Jake Moody. This is who he is, But then you look at Young Ko Ho. That right there, those 2 field goals, it lessens the blow. It doesn't win the game. But this is why Atlanta cut him. You know what I'm saying? You can kick him extra points, but you can't kick no field goals. I'm just saying, you got to be smart about it, man. You know what I'm saying? So Washington get the dub on that one. You come in, you take a look at another beat down. This is just destruction. It was the Eagles versus the Raiders. Now, this is the Eagles versus the Raiders, and we all know the Raiders are a horrible team. There's not really much to talk about here. Kenny Pickett, 15-25. Oh, my God. The man had 64 yards passing, 1 interception, and 4 sacks. This tells you how horrible the Raiders are. This is pathetic. The Raiders didn't have 46. Are you telling me that the Raiders didn't crack 100 yards of total offense? I know I'm tripping. Wow. Let me take I cannot believe this. Totally. I'm gonna say we said you said sounds zesty. Bad use of food, bro. Look, man. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not that dude. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to continue to talk about cheating, anything. At the end of the day, Kyle ain't got no shot at conquering the Chiefs. He just doesn't. Whenever we play them, we lose. I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care what the refs did, what they didn't do, what calls were missed, if, ands, buts. If it was the fifth, we'd all be drunk. I am sorry. Whenever we play the Chiefs, we take an L. That just is what it is. But back to this game. People, the Raiders are so bad, they didn't even put up 100 yards of total offense. That's insane. You consider yourself an NFL team and you couldn't put up 100 yards of total offense. These people, 387 yards to 75 yards. And they had the same amount of drives. They both had 8 drives. He put up 387, you put up 75. I'm sorry, the Raiders y'all need to tear it down, rebuild, go into next year. I mean, hell, start selling everybody. I'm not gonna lie. Brock Bowers, you need to sell him. Ashton Genty, sell. Max Crosby, sell. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna stop this for a second. I'm gonna say this. If I'm the Raiders, I am selling on everything that I have because I need to start fresh. I need new draft picks. I need new blood. I need a new coach. I need new everything. I am wiping the slate clean and starting fresh. And I know this sucks because the Raiders are constantly starting over, but at the end of the day, that is horridly pathetic. There's no way you can call yourself an NFL team and go out and let another team force you to only put up 75 yards of total offense. This is horrendous. I've never seen anything like this. In all my years of watching football, man, I've seen teams be bad. Hell, even the Lions, when they went 0-16, they at least scored at some point. 75 yards of total, that's pathetic. There's nothing, there's no way to get around that, man. What I'm saying? Your quarterback throws an interception, takes 4 sacks. Like, you guys are just, he's not doing anything, man. Where's the 1 sack coming from? Max Crosby. I'd tell you right now, if that was me, I'd throw Max Crosby out there I'd be begging for at least 2 first-round picks. Not going to lie to you. That's what I would do. I mean, I can understand if you want to kind of keep Brock Bowers because you want to have an offensive weapon because that's the only offensive weapon you have. They have no receivers. All their receivers are nobodies and they're worth nothing because they just suck. Quarterback is trash. Kenny Pickett ain't taking you nowhere. Geno Smith obviously wasn't taking you nowhere. So you got to start over. Aiden O'Connell is garbage. Like, the Raiders just need a full revamp and rebuild. I don't even want to go over any more numbers from this game. At the end of the day, the Eagles came in there and kicked it. They sat back at home, kicked their teeth in, continued to keep their playoff hopes alive, keeping a stranglehold on the NFC East, and we keep moving, man. This is horribly pathetic. I've never seen anything that bad. Not in recent years. That's just wrong, man. Y'all didn't even try. So it's the Jags and the Jets. Jags keep rolling. This is one of the games needed to be won for the Chiefs to be knocked out of the playoffs. So good looking out, Duval. 48-20. What I'm saying? The Jags scored in every single quarter, so did the Jets. They just scored less. Oh my gosh, Trevor Lawrence had a career game, 20-32, 330 yards, 5 TDs, no interceptions, and no sacks. That was a clean game, man. And the Jets fired Steve Wilks. I guess maybe the same things that were happening here in San Francisco happened over there with the Jets. I guess there were some issues with, the play calling and some of the things that he was having them do. I don't know because I know when Steve Wilks was here, we went to a Super Bowl and we got 2 interceptions in the last Super Bowl, and Kyle Shanahan's offense did nothing with it. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know what's happening after he left here or what the issue is now, but at the end of the day, hey, his defense – did what they had to do all year when he was here with us. And that year we went to the Super Bowl, but he's not an offensive coordinator, he's defense coordinator. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but Brady Cook, trash, 1 TD, 3 interceptions, 176 yards passing. Isaiah Davis is the only bright spot for them with 1 touchdown. Breece Hall, 12 carries, 23 yards. That's not going to cut it. Jets are another team that just needs to rebuild. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not working. Trevor Lawrence had 5 carries for 51 yards. So Trevor Lawrence by himself amassed 381 total scrimmage yards, passing and rushing, and he totaled 6 touchdowns. So if you had Trevor Lawrence, on your fantasy team, you balled out in ways you couldn't imagine. That man had points. So Travis Etienne, 3 carries, 73 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 receptions, 73 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr. had a touchdown. Bayshaw Tootin had a touchdown. So these are all of the usual suspects that you have to worry about. But, hey, man, it works. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. There was a fumble by De'Ami Brown, but it was recovered by Malachi Moore. Doesn't make a difference. Like I said, Jets defense did nothing worth mentioning. And then you had the sacks from Jacksonville. Eric Murray had one. Dennis Gardeck had one. BJ Green had one. They had 7 TFLs, total 6 passes defense. They had their 3 interceptions from Antonio Johnson, Ventrell Miller, Monteric Brown. The kicking was 100% on both ends, but it just they just came in. They chilled in Duval. They beat them in Duval, and that's what it was, man. Another destruction beatdown, 28-point beatdown, bro. And here's another beatdown, 40-20. Texans beat up on the poor Cardinals. Cardinals are definitely already out of playoffs. And you know how ugly it gets when the Cardinals play. You know what I'm saying? They went to Houston and just got the brakes beat off of them, man. The Texans went in there and just was out there in the trees, bird hunting, looking for Cardinals, just shooting them up. They took pellet guns and just took those poor Cardinals and just kept hitting them red birds left and right. They scored in every single quarter. The Cardinals didn't score in the first, but scored in every other quarter. They just couldn't keep up with them, man. The Texans are 9-5. They are continually hunting for their playoff spot and trying to keep it. I think they're fighting with the Jags right now just to be able to make sure they do their thing. I think the Jags, the Colts, there's a lot going on. Even though the Colts took an L this week to the Seattle Seahawks. So Jacoby Brissett, 27-40, 249 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception, 2 sacks. I mean, you can't ask more from Jacoby Brissett, bro. He's doing everything that he can. You know what I'm saying? The Cardinals' defense is just not very good. Then you got Michael Carter, 14 carries, 56 yards. Corey Kiner. I could have sworn we had Kiner. Huh. Now he's a Cardinal. Well, what a coincidence. 2 carries, 11 yards. But leading receiver, Trey McBride, 12 catches, 134 yards, 2 TDs. Of course, Michael Wilson, 5 for 54, 1 touchdown. I'm telling you, man, we got some ballers in the NFC West. And it's unfortunate that the NFC West doesn't have any of these guys, but Michael Wilson is a really, really good receiver. Jackson Smith-Njigba is one of the best receivers in the NFL, top 5 right now. You know what I'm saying? You've got Puka Nacua and Devontae Smith over there with the Rams, you know what I'm saying? And it's no disrespect to our team and what we have, but the guys that we have aren't any of those dudes in any way, shape, or form. Love JJ, but he ain't Devontae. You know what I'm saying? Love Ricky, but Ricky can't even stay on the field. At this point, we want to wind up with, I believe, Marcus Robinson and Juwan Jennings starting on Monday night if Ricky Pearsall can't go. So we'll have to see what happens and how it goes, but it is what it is. When you take a look at it for rushing, Jahar, why do people try to get creative with these names? I need y'all to stop doing this. Black people, I love you, but stop with these names. Okay, Jahar? Is it Jahar? If it was just Jahar, take the damn W out. Like, what are we doing? You got to stop killing our kids with these weird-ass names. It don't make no damn sense. 15 carries, 101 yards, 6.7 yards a carry. He did have 1 carry for 50 yards, so that eats up half of his yardage. So he probably didn't have much of 6.7. Oh, God. But, the other 14 carries for, 50 yards. I mean, all right, 51 yards, 14 carries. It's all right. It's not too bad. But then you come and you take a look at the receiving, of course, usual suspect, Nico Collins, 3 catches, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, 8 catches, 76 yards in the touchdown. You come, you take a look at it, couple fumbles here. But then you go and you take a look at the tackling. Azeez Al-Shaair, 12 tackles. Henry Total, 10 tackles. The sack came from Danielle Hunter and Danico Autry, which I was banging the table for them to get Danielle Hunter, and they just wouldn't go out and get him. But is what it is. Chad Ryland was 2 of 2 on his extra points. Kaimi Fairburn, he would have been 100% had he not missed a field goal, but that just blows it up to a 23-point, win versus a 20-point win, so it doesn't really make a difference that he missed it. But hey, man, Texas keep rolling, Cardinals keep losing. Doesn't bother me. Don't stop my day either way. Packers versus the Broncos. Broncos get the dub 34-26. This game sucks for the Packers because they just lost Micah Parsons with the torn ACL. So, they probably won't have him back till next season. That was 2 ACLs in one day. It was Mahomes and Parsons, unfortunately. And then Jordan Love, 24, 42, 176 yards, 1 TD, 2 sacks, three sacks. Bo Nix balled out, man, 23-34, 302 yards, four touchdowns. RJ Harvey, 19 carries, 65 yards, 1 TD. So, I mean, hey, they just did what they had to do. Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and Michael Bandy. This boy's name is not really Lil Jordan. I just said we got to stop with these damn names, and you put Lil Jordan. Okay, anyway, moving on. Y'all don't kill me. Josh Jacobs had the 1 touchdown reception. And then he had the 1 73-19. Yeah, you got over that 100-yard mark. You got your 2 TDs, so it would have been solid for you in fantasy. You take a look at the sacks. Zach Allen, Jonathan Cooper combined for a sack. Dondre Tillman, he's got 1, and Jonah Ellis had 1 for the Broncos. And then you take a look at the Packers, no sacks put all together. Pressure start going down. All that stuff changes when Micah Parsons is not in the game. Then you go to Brandon McManus. He was 4-4, 2 of 2 on his extra points. Will Lutz didn't have to do anything but kick field goals, so that's all he was really needed for. So you take a look at things, man. You see exactly what happened. Denver keeps rolling at 12-2. They got a stranglehold on the lead in the AFC for that number 1 seed and to keep the AFC West title to themselves. So they keep rolling, and the Green Bay Packers, that kind of sets them back a bit. They the Rams, the battle of the quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying? These teams swapped quarterbacks basically. The Rams taking Matthew Stafford and the Lions taking Jared Goff. Both of them have flourished. Matthew Stafford got that stain off of his record for just being a good quarterback, wound up getting himself a Super Bowl win. So he's now got that, and he's definitely got the passing yards, TDs, and all the other accolades to be able to get himself to the Hall of Fame once he decides to retire. But it looks like Detroit scored in every quarter except for the third. Maybe had they scored in the third, they wouldn't have an issue because they were only down by a touchdown. So touchdown and field goal, they at least take this game to OT. Rams scored in every single quarter, made sure everything was good. Jared Goff, 25, 41, 338 yards, 3 TDs, only took 1 sack. Matthew Stafford, 24 or 30. He took 2 sacks. And David Montgomery, you know what I'm saying? Almost like thunder and lightning, very pedestrian game. 70 yards total from both of these guys. And Montgomery only had 1 TD. So that's definitely not like them. They usually have way, way better yards as a unit because they do kind of run it combined. But then you take a look at the Rams, and you got Blake Corum and Kyren Williams, both over 70 yards rushing. Both of them had touchdowns. Kyren Williams had 2, and Blake Corum had 1. The 2 touchdown passes were caught by Colby Parkinson. Puka Nacua, 9 catches, 181 yards, insane. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. Jameson, 7 catches, 134 yards in the tutty. St. Brown, 13 catches, 164 yards, 2 TDs. So that shows you that both of these defenses were having a hell of a time trying to stop these guys. And So that tells you there's definitely, so we got to take a look at these games and see where the Rams are struggling and find ways to utilize that. So basically, you had Aiden Hutchinson who had the sack, and Roy Lopez had a sack for Detroit. 7 passes defense by them as well. That's really good. The only sack for the Rams came from Kobe Turner. And then you take a look at it, man. You take a look at the kicking. Jake Bates, he missed a field goal, but that only would have brought it down to a 4-point loss, a 4-point loss rather than a 7. And then Harrison Mevis, he was 100%. So that just lets you know that, hey, at the end of the day, man, you got to be on top of your game, and you got to score in every quarter, especially when you're playing a high-flying team and a strong offense. Another divisional battle here with the Saints and the Panthers, and I know this hurt the Panthers because they wanted to get this dub. If they'd have got the dub, that would have given them the number one spot in the 2017. Three New Orleans didn't score in the first, and Carolina couldn't score in the fourth. I'm going to take a look down here. Looks like the kicking was 100%, so it definitely wasn't on the kickers. It just was, certain things didn't work out. Bryce Young, 15 to 24, 163 yards, 1 TD. Then you got Tyler Schultz, 24, 32, 272 yards. He only threw 1 TD, but he was sacked 5 times. That's insane. To be sacked 5 times, still win the game is a good thing. Devin Neal was the only person who had a rushing touchdown for the Saints. Rico Dowdle scored the rushing touchdown for the Panthers. Receiving touchdown pass was caught by Chris Olave. And then Jalen Cooker for the Carolina Panthers. A couple fumbles here and there. The sacks had Christian Rosenboom had one for the Panthers, and then half a sack from Nick Scourton and Bobby Brown the third, and then 2 sacks from DJ Wonnum. And you come over here, you only get that 1 sack. Divisional battles are divisional battles. They're not walk in the park type of game, so it's a little frustrating for the Panthers because they wanted that win, and that would have put them over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But either way, you got to keep pushing, keep going, and keep trying to win. Basically, the 49ers versus the Titans, this was a fantastic game. We did give up 24 points on offense. I didn't like that because I wanted our defense to be a little bit better. We definitely didn't get home. We didn't sack the quarterback. There was a lot going on there. But as far as this game goes, I've already done a recap on it for you guys. 34-27, we scored in every quarter. We did everything that we needed to do, and we tried to make it happen the best we could. So 49ers come out with the victory, keep on rolling. We moved to 10-4. And oddly enough, this is just a little bit above where I had us. I had us at 9-7, I had us at 10-7 or 9-8. Just because of all the injuries and everybody we were missing. So this one's a little bit more interesting. Colts had themselves a game. Phillip Rivers came out of retirement, 18-27, 120 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was sacked once. Sam Darnold, 22-36, 271 yards, no touchdown passes thrown. So it looks like the Seattle Seahawks pretty much did everything that they did, taking the ball. Yeah, Jason Myers basically scored every single point for them. So they could not score any touchdowns. So that tells us that we need to watch whatever Indy's defense did and replicate such. Like that. That's definitely a good thing. Kobe Bryant had an interception for them, but if all you could muster was field goals all game long, then that tells me that, that Colts defense did something right. Because for you to basically hold, you didn't really hold JSN. He still went over 100 yards, 7 catches, 113 yards. But for you to hold him in no TDs, that's definitely a great thing. So I would definitely take a look at that tape as well. Keep that in mind from when we have to play them toward the end of the season and see exactly what they did scheme-wise to be able to utilize that to our advantage. Next game up, you had the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. Vikings get the win, 34-26. JJ McCarthy is starting to look a little bit better, man. I don't know. Maybe those butt kickings and all the things that happened to him had to happen to him for him to be able to start playing better. 15-24, 250 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He wasn't sacked at all. Dak Prescott, 23-38, 294 yards, no TDs, no interceptions. The 2 touchdowns from the Cowboys looked like they came from Javonte Williams and Mike Davis rushing. And then for the rushing touchdowns, it was JJ McCarthy and CJ Ham. So McCarthy accounted for 3 touchdowns. That's not bad. You know what I mean? On his own, those 2 TD passes were thrown to Jalen Naylor. Although this right here is what is confusing me. 2 catches on 8 targets for Justin Jefferson. That's not good at all. He's usually the one leading the team at a bare minimum. So I think maybe it's just a situation where they just got to build their connection a little bit better and do things a little different. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches, 111 yards. George Pickens, 3 for 33. You know what I mean? Nothing really giving on either side. The 2 sacks came from Andrew Van Ginkel and Javon Hargrave with half a sack, and then Jonathan Greenard with 1 sack. You take a look at the kicking, 100% for everybody except for Brandon Aubrey. Aubrey missed 2, and that would have been 6, so it still would have been a loss. It just would have made it a 2-point loss rather than a 8-point loss. So, hey, Cowboys taking L, start pushing their playoff hopes further and further away. And, hey, the Vikings, you know what I'm saying, they keep fighting. At a bare minimum, if they can get themselves above 500 and end the season like that, that'd be a good thing. There's never anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? They fighting, they doing their thing there, man. So let me take a look at the scores again, and then we'll talk about the playoffs as it stands. Dolphins versus the Steelers last night. Steelers went ahead and got the dub. They beat the Dolphins 28-15. Steelers scored in every quarter except for the first, and the Dolphins didn't score in the first or the third. Basically, looks like they were unfortunately just having a heck of a time trying to get the ball down the field and do the things they needed to do. Tua Tagovailoa, 22 of 28, 253 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He did take 4 sacks. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 27, 224 yards, 2 TDs. He took 3 sacks. A10, only 12 carries, 60 yards. Everybody else was nothing. 13 carries for 80 yards for Kenneth Gainwell. Jonnu Smith and Connor Hayward scored the rushing touchdowns. The receiving touchdowns were from DK Metcalf and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And then you take a look at it. Darren Waller was the 2 touchdowns for Miami. And you take a look at the sacks. You had 3 of them from Miami. You had Jordan Brooks get 1, Zach Seiler, and Zeke Biggers. And then you come over and you take a look at the Steelers. You had 1 from Jalen Ramsey, 1 from Cameron Hayward, another from Peyton Wilson, and Isezi Otamiwo. He had 1 as well. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm pretty sure I butchered it. Hey, and look who's back on the field. Asante Samuel freaking Jr., and he had an interception. I don't know why he's not here with us, but it is what it is, man. We do this a lot. So kicking was 100% for Miami. Same thing for the Steelers. But, hey, Monday night game, you know what I'm saying, bright lights. Steelers showed up, and the Dolphins did not. And the other caveat to this game basically was the fact that they state that when it's below a certain temperature, Tua just loses. Like it's always like that when it comes down to it. So when you take a look at the standings right now, just looking at the divisional things in the AFC East, the Patriots and the Bills are there. The Jets and the Dolphins are eliminated from playoff contention. All they can do is mess up your seeding. And then you got the AFC North. Like AFC East and the AFC North are very, very tight races. Look at that. The Pittsburgh Steelers 8-6, the Baltimore Ravens 7-7. The Bengals and the Browns are eliminated. So you already got 2 of those eliminated. And then the AFC South could produce possibly 3 playoff teams. Maybe, you never know. But then you got the Denver is in. Denver is in no matter what. They are completely in. Nothing anyone can do will stop that. They could lose their number 1 seed, but at a bare minimum, they're guaranteed to be in the playoffs. And then you got the Chargers right on their heels at 10-4. So just tight race in the AFC South, tight race in the AFC North, tight race in the AFC East. You know, 1 game is separating all of these guys. Outside of the Colts, where it's 2 games. Had they got that W against Seattle, that would have just been 1 game as well. So it's definitely a lot going on. NFC East, you have 2 teams eliminated, the Commanders and the Giants. So it's just a fight between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I don't see the Eagles losing this. I see the Dallas Cowboys on the outside looking in, and they won't wind up making the playoffs. NFC North, you still have the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers. Even though the Packers took an L, they're still above the Lions. And the Bears got that dub, so they're 1 game ahead. But this is a very, very close race. You got 10, 9, and 8. So that's still close. And we only have 3 games left in the season for anybody to be able to do anything. The Vikings have been eliminated, but, hey, they said we're going to keep screwing up people's seedings no matter who we play and what we do. And then this right here is definitely the hard thing, NFC South. Falcons and the Saints are eliminated, but you got the Bucs and the Panthers, and they're there. Basically, you can take a look at them. They're both 7-7. You know what I'm saying? 3-4 at home for the Bucs, 4-2 for the Panthers. 3-5 away, 4-3 for them. And then you've got the same tie in the division, and then they got the conference, and this is the only thing that's helping them out. Honestly, it's just basically that 5-5 in the conference versus 5-4. So it is what it is. And then you got the NFC West. You got lots of contenders there. Cardinals obviously have been eliminated from playoff contention, so all they can do is mess with anybody's seeding, no matter who they play. And then you've got the LA Rams are in. So from the NFC, the Rams are definitely in. Nobody's stopping them from getting, into the playoffs. They're there. They clinched their playoff berth. But if you have Seattle and you've got, look at this, you got 2 11-win teams and a 10-win team. And to be honest with you, when you take a look at the playoff landscape, it's definitely a little bit rough. You definitely want to see exactly what you can do. We are 4-1 in the division. Our last division game will be the last game of the season versus the Seahawks. So we got to hope and pray we can win that one. But when you look at that, man, very, very tight race. There's tight races across the NFL just in general. So it definitely shows you everybody's got to keep fighting to get what they want. So at the end of the day, the teams that are on the outside looking in, at least in the AFC, are going to be the Ravens, the Colts, the Texans, the Bills, and the Chargers, because the leaders right now all have their spots held just for the moment. So I can tell you this. I know the Ravens want to keep winning. They've got to keep winning. They have no choice. I know the Colts want to keep winning and got to keep winning, which is why they went and got Phillip Rivers off the couch to hope and pray that he could will them to a few wins to keep them in the possible playoff hunt. The Texans, I don't see anybody stopping them right now, so we just got to be careful with that. Of course, the Bills are going to keep fighting, and they do have a fighting chance to even still take their division, so they're definitely not out of it. And the same thing with the Steelers and the Ravens. Both of those teams are fighting. They're jockeying for position. When it comes down to it, the only clear-cut true winner here, for the most part, is going to be the Denver Broncos, unless they just decide to fall flat on their face, and then let the Chargers come in and get 13 wins, and they wind up going 12-5. But I don't see that happening. I don't think the Dolphins will do that. But other than that, in the AFC, once again, the teams that have been eliminated are the Kansas City Chiefs, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, the Jets, Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Tennessee Titans. All of them are eliminated from the playoffs. They will not be there. They have no chance. Nothing they could do would be able to make it better. The only thing they could do is just try to make sure they get themselves. The only teams here, you've got 3 games. So the Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs could finish at a bare minimum above 500 if they win their next 3 games, but I doubt that highly. Either way, we move on to the NFC. And in the NFC, like I said, the Rams are in. They have clinched the playoff berth. Then you have the Bears at number 2. You've got Philly at 3. You've got Tampa Bay at 4. These are all the division winners. And then on the outside looking in here, you've got Dallas, Carolina, and Detroit. Here's the thing. I would say probably Carolina has a better shot at making it because they're 7. They're close with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a good fight there. And then as far as San Francisco and Seattle, we could flip positions depending on what happens to either one of us, win or lose. And then you have to take a look at the Packers. Losing Michael Parsons is a big blow. You got to hope and pray that they, for Packer fans, they got to hope and pray they can keep things going. But they've got to basically figure out how to, keep things rolling without Michael Parsons, and that's going to be a big blow to their defense. As far as San Francisco, I'm cool sitting at 6. I'd like to move up to at least 5. We could jump to 1, but we would have to win out. The Rams would have to lose out. Like, there's so many things that would make us jump to the number 1 seed, but there's so many dominoes that have to fall in order for that to happen. So to be honest with you, let's just take a look for NFC West sake. Let's take a look and see who's got what next, and give a quick call to these games and see what that would be as far as that's concerned. Hey, what's going on, Rick Diaz? So what did we say? I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, Jacksonville Jaguars could be a threat. Broncos are definitely playing well. Yeah, we just got to keep winning. So honestly, right now, the Rams' next opponent. Oh, this is the one that's going to decide a lot here. This helps us out because the Rams got to play the Seahawks, and the Seahawks got to play the Rams. We don't care what the Cardinals are doing. So this is a divisional battle, and that's basically what it's going to wind up being. The only thing that we could hope for in this game to help us in any way, shape, or form possibly would be a tie. But either way, I mean, whoever wins is going to take control of the NFC West. So this game unfortunately doesn't do us any good. Kind of really just doesn't help us at all. So that's basically what it is. But at the end of the day, man, that's what we got in the NFC West. We'll see what's going on there. And then let's take a look at who the Bucks play next, because the NFC South is a ridiculously tight schedule. Oh, look at that. Division battle. This is for the division. They play the Panthers twice in the next 3 weeks. And the only other team they play outside is the Dolphins. So they got to go to the Panthers, then go to the Dolphins, then come home versus the Panthers, the Bucks, that is. So, hey, man, this is definitely going to be a fight for the division crown. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So these next couple of weeks of football are going to matter a lot, especially for division titles and whatnot. But that's the recap for Week 15 of the NFL. Remember, tell a friend, and tell another friend. Continue to make sure you leave your feelings and your thoughts in the comments. Basically, make sure you let me know what you think. Let me know if you think your team is going to make the playoffs, if you think that the next year is going to be better, what you think your team needs to do to continually improve. At the end of the day, man, 49ers are hot and rolling. We are in that 6th seed, and we just need to make sure that we can get, either get better or keep it rolling. And it's odd because you could flip the LA Rams. If they lose this game, they flip from the number 1 seed all the way down to 5th. So these games this weekend mean a lot. I'll be watching, keeping my eye on everything. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out with your boy. Stay up, stay faithful, stay blessed. And I'm out. Peace.